Welcome back, Lit in Comp 2. Today is Wednesday the 6th. We are on a shortened schedule for early release, and you guys have one short chapter to finish reading, which is chapter 10. It's about 8 pages. It is the conclusion of part 2. So it's definitely an exciting chapter. I'm super bummed I can't see your reactions, but you do need to read. Obviously, Winston has been spending his time reading the book. He fell asleep after reading it. I would say Julia don't care much about the book, and so now we got to see what's the fallout from what he's decided to do and what decisions will come after reading the book and becoming part of the Brotherhood. Read, I'm not going to say too much more because I don't want to, ruin anything. It does open up with imagery of singing, though, which is the prole that you guys mentioned in seminar a few days back, this singing woman at the bottom of the window. She shows up again, so keep that in mind. So I'd like you guys to think back to part 1. You can definitely look back at the last couple pages, and as you finish part 2, you can kind of compare and contrast. Like, how does he end his parts? Part 1 ended on a very low note. Winston was super afraid he was going to die and he was going to get captured for all of his little acts of rebellion, from the diary to Down with Big Brother to going to Mr. Charrington's shop and buying the glass paperweight. He thinks about Julia. He doesn't know her name's Julia at the time, but he thinks about killing the dark-haired girl with the paperweight, which is pretty violent. He tries to think about O'Brien at the end of part 1, and then ultimately it ends with the 3 slogans, which we've just seen again in chapter 9 with the book. So, after you get done reading that, I definitely want you guys to talk it out and share some reactions. And if you guys remember to my sample presentation, which has been posted on Google Classroom, it's posted right here under assignments. So there's the sample presentation and there is the handout, although you should have copies of that and hard copy. But if you look and consider back to what I did is, as an intro tool and to build up good conversation in my sample presentation, is I decided to write down our group reactions. Like, how would we sum up part 2? We did like a little play with repetition here, but what would be the key word to sum it up? What would be a key picture to sum up part 2? What was your overall feels? Do you have a key quote that sums up all of part 2 combined? But this could be a slide that you guys could create today. And then hopefully you can also pick out what is your topic. Like, what are your top 5 points? Now that you know the end of the book for part 2, what do you guys want to do? Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday are workshop days, and you guys will have to tell me what you plan to focus in on. So I did the top 5 exposition points, and I really focused in on Winston as a character. And then, as you can see, I started to collect some points, and then I just went back to the beginning of part 1 and I looked at the opening chapter or the opening line, and that became my first evidence point. So maybe that's something you want to do. I know you may not be able to get much accomplished because it is a shortened block. You definitely want to get that reading taken care of, and then I'd be curious, what are your reactions? Write them down. Put them on a slide. Put them on a Google Doc with ongoing notes. Write it on the back of your part 2 packets underneath the actual rubric. But I am super excited for you guys to move into part 3. That won't happen until I get back, but you do have a lot to think about, and you got through a whole another slew of pages, so good job.